Hi everyone, Janie here, and today I'm going to be making more cards using my scraps and this InLoveArts interlaced graphics background cutting die set that comes with the stitched frame die and 8 dies that fit in the openings. And as I will show you in this video, there is more than one way to use these. And I'm also going to be using this InLoveArts Hello Streak word cutting die that I absolutely love and will be using a lot. So for my first card, I'll be using these scraps as well as some Recollections gold foil cardstock. As I explained in yesterday's video, I have a torn rotator cuff, so I won't be able to show you the die cutting process. But here are all of the pieces that I die cut. And I'm not going to let those gold foil cardstock pieces go to waste because I can always use them on another card or die cut things from them. So there are a few different ways to use this cutting die set. And for the first way that I'm going to show you, I will be gluing the frame to my card base. And then I will be gluing all of those smaller pieces into their coordinating spaces. And all of those pieces were cut using the 8 smaller dies that come with that set. And this is what it looks like when it's done, or I should say when it's done the way that I did it, because you obviously will not be using the same papers that I used, and you don't have to put them in the same color pattern that I used, but this is just to give you an idea. And then I die cut the hello from the gold foil cardstock and added that to the card. And I also added a butterfly and a flower, and here is what my finished card looks like. I really love how this turned out, and like I said, you don't have to do it the exact same way I did. You can always mix and match your scraps any way you want. Now, I'm going to save my favorite technique for last, but right now, we're going to move on to card number 2. This card is going to be 5 inches by 6.5 inches, and using a piece of the gold foil cardstock that is 4 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 inches, I die cut the stitched frame out of the center of it so I can still use the outer frame. So what you see here is a 5 by 6.5 inch card base and a piece of white gold shimmer cardstock that is also 5 by 6.5 inches with the center cut out, since no one will ever see that. And then the gold frame that is 4 3/4 inches by 6 1/4 inch. And then another piece of white gold shimmer cardstock that is 4 1/2 inches by 6 inches. And I embossed that. And then a beautiful piece of scrap paper cut down to just over 3 3/4 inches and just under 5 1/2 inches so that it will fit perfectly behind that gold foil die cut stitched frame. And once they are all layered together, you have a beautiful card that looks like this, and you didn't have to fuss with all the little pieces that go in the frame. And I also used the hello die cut on this card and added a gold butterfly. So I kept it pretty simple, but as you can see, it is also very elegant. And even though I made this a 5 by 6.5 inch card, it could have easily been made into an A2 size card. And here I just wanted to show you that I cut those butterflies from one of those gold foil cardstock scraps. And now I'm going to show you my favorite technique. Okay, this technique is for those of you that don't have a lot of little scraps, or you don't want a lot of little scraps left over. And so you can use larger scraps. And these are leftover scraps from my 12 by 12 scrapbook papers. And if you don't have larger scraps, you can always cut your scrapbook paper down to the size that you need. And you just want to make sure that it is the right size that the die will fit on there. So mine are a little bit longer, but that's okay. And then another thing is you want to make sure that you have the right amount. And so you could use just 2 if you want, and then you're going to mix and match the 2. You will see what I'm talking about here in a minute. In this one, there are 8 openings. I chose to go with 4 different pattern papers. So you just have to make sure that you have the right amount to mix and match in the background frame that you're going to be using. And I am just using the background frame and not all of the little pieces that go in it. And this technique will work with any background frame, you know, similar to this, similar to the one that I used in yesterday's video. So you're not limited to just one cutting die to do this. So, as earlier with the other cards, I cannot show me die cutting because of my torn rotator cuff, but I'm going to go get all of these die cut and I will be back with the pieces. For each of the papers that you do, you need to save all of the pieces, including the frame, and I might even suggest that you keep them in the order that they come out of the frame, or, you know, at least close enough to, you know, that you know what side they were on or where they go. And not only do you need to save all of those pieces, but you also need to save the frame. Okay, so this is just one, and I know I'm slightly off camera here, sorry about that. But this is just one, and then I'm going to go do the other ones, and I'm going to keep all of the pieces together. Okay, I have everything die cut, and I've kind of kept everything together so that I know, you know, kind of which order everything goes in. It makes it helpful when you're, you know, doing the mix and match thing. And I'm going to start off with my pieces of cardstock. So these are not cards, these are going to be card toppers in case I want to put them on a larger card like I've been doing lately or things like that. So I'm going to take each of the frames and glue them on to a card topper. Okay, so we've got 4 different frames here, and I'm going to put them each on their own. And then once I do that, I will be back and show you what we're doing next. And I'm sure by now you have already figured this out, but I'll be back. Okay, now that I have all of the frame pieces glued on, the fun begins. And this is where you get to decide how you want to do it, how you want to alternate the pieces. I already have mine in my head. I've had mine in my head since this whole thing started. So I actually want to do whatever the frame is. I want to do these 2 larger pieces that match the frame. And then I'm going to go around the outside and alternate the edges. You could do it totally different. You could do, you know, one color and then another color. Let me grab another one here. Let's grab this here. Wrong one. Okay. Let me grab the right one here. Okay. I could do it that way, you know, and just have everything really alternated all over the place. But that's not actually what I have in my head. I just wanted to point out that you have so many possibilities. And maybe if you're only using 2 different pattern papers, then you're going to alternate them completely different. So there are so many possibilities, but I already know that for me, I wanted to put these 2 in the center and then alternate around the outside. So I'm going to do that right now, and I am going to speed things up a little bit, and I'm not going to do all 4 of them on camera. I just kind of want to give you an idea. And while I'm doing this, I would just like to point out that this particular technique is perfect whether you just want to make 2 cards, or if you're mass producing cards for Christmas or thank you cards or just because cards. And it's just fun and easy and quick, and there is 0 waste of papers or cardstock. And another thing I wanted to point out is that you can still do this technique with your smaller scraps. You would just put your smaller scraps behind the openings instead of just one piece of paper. And of course, you don't have to use scraps at all. This technique is perfect for using with your 6x6 paper pads where all of the papers are coordinated so they'll look great mixed and matched. And the same thing with your 12x12 paper pads, because you can get 6 pieces from one 12x12 sheet if you cut them down to 4x6. So just imagine this. Let's say you're making Christmas cards and you want to use 4 different pattern papers like I did today. So you take 4 pieces of 12 by 12 pattern paper and you cut them down to 6 pieces each, and you will have enough to make 24 Christmas cards, quick and easy, and you can even make them all look slightly different. So I just thought I would share this with you because I think that's what I might do this Christmas. This is also a great way to make a set of note cards, whether they're for yourself or if you wanted to make a stack of them tied together with a ribbon to give as a gift. I think you might be starting to see why this is my favorite technique, because there are so many possibilities, and I love that it is quick and easy and that there are no leftover scraps, because I have plenty of scraps as it is already. Okay, so we know that this is my favorite technique out of the 3 techniques that I've shared today, but I would love to know which one is your favorite and why. So be sure to leave me a comment below. And here they are all pieced together, and like I said, you could do this any way you want. You don't have to do it in the same order that I did it. You can alternate them completely differently, or you can use just 2 different pattern papers, or you could use 8 different pattern papers. It's totally up to you. And these all work together very well because they came out of the same paper pad, but you don't have to use, papers that are out of the same paper pad, just as long as you get the look that you're going for. For this card, or card topper, I used the same Hello die that I have been using on the other cards, and I absolutely love this. This has got to be one of my favorites when I'm making cards that are kind of just to send to somebody to say hello. And so I really love that. And kind of weird, but I came across this. It must have been a card I started and then changed my mind. And so it just has the gold foil cardstock border. And I thought, how perfect for this. So I am just going to glue that right on the front of that card. And there are so many possibilities. If you're just going to make card toppers like I did today, you can, like emboss them. You can put them on larger cards. In my opinion, it's nice to have some card toppers laying around. If you're not really sure what you want to do, with a card, you can make card toppers and, keep them in a little box or in a little baggie, all ready for when you do, when you're ready to make a card. And so that's what I'm doing here, is just making me some card toppers that I can use at a later time on whatever style card I want to do, whether I want to add them to a 5x7 or add them to the front of this one, which happens to be an A2, because these card toppers are just a little bit smaller than an A2, as you can see. But I think that's perfect. I am loving how these are coming out. Here are pictures of 2 of the cards that I made with those card toppers. The one you just saw me make, and another one that I layered on a 5x6.5 card base and added a flower and butterfly and hello. And don't forget, I would love for you to leave me a comment letting me know which technique was your favorite and why. And if you love the cutting dies that I used, I will have links to both of those below in the description box, along with a 25% off discount code to InLoveArts should you decide to shop there. Thank you all so much for stopping by today. And if you missed yesterday's scrap hoarder cards, I'll have that linked right here on the screen for you to click on and watch. Happy crafting, everyone. Bye-bye.